Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sarah and Adam's show. I'm here with, as you may expect, Sarah. Sarah, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just finished watching Rings of Power, and so there's that. There's only three episodes of that left.
Oh, is it only three?
Yeah, because
Oh,
I think there's only eight total in the first season.
for some reason I was thinking there was 10.
I wish there was 10.
Now I'm sad.
Are you actually, or are you just saying that?
Well, I feel like it's just gonna end abruptly.
I know. I'm like, it just started though. We haven't gotten anything done.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So we're gonna talk about that tonight, and um, Dragon Show
Mm-hmm.
is out halfway done with Dragon Show now.
Yep, we watched that one too.
And Andor.
Yeah. That one just started.
I should have said Andor.
Missed opportunity.
I know, and my attempt to make up for it didn't pan out. So
No.
yeah, so three episodes of that, which is like it's almost just like one big movie though. Like it
Mm-hmm.
I stopped after the second one night, and then I had to watch the last one later, and it just felt like pausing the middle of a movie, kind of.
Right. I mean, I could see that because I watched them back to back.
Hmm.
Well, actually that's a lie. I watched the first one and then I had a nap, and then I watched the next two.
Doesn't surprise me, honestly.
uh, um,
You're one of those people that if sleep was just not an option,
mhm.
or not an option, not necessary, if they're like, all right, hey, we found a way to delete sleep from our bodily needs, like we don't need it for anything, but you can still, but we're still like somehow physically capable of it. I feel like you're the person who still does
I
sometimes.
would totally still nap.
Yep.
Like, screw this, I'm going to bed.
Everyone's like, but you don't need to. You're like, I need it to shut you up.
100%. But yeah, it did feel like a long movie, and it just like flowed, so I liked it.
Good. Okay. And we're again postponing She-Hulk because for my part, I mean, there's not enough time, and it's the worst out of all four of them.
Right.
So
I mean, I
I
didn't I
just
didn't have any time to watch it today anyway. So,
right. Well, yeah, I guess today would be the time that you had access to it, anyways. But I mean, I just I made time to watch Rings of Power. I made like I would have made time to watch Cassie, and I did.
right.
I've been busy with job transition, and I'm still making time to watch these other shows. But She-Hulk for me, I'm like, I'll make time when there is time. But it's the backest of the burners for
Right.
me.
Yeah, I agree. So, I'm fine with that. We'll see if I mean, I'll finish it, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like dislike it. I just the other ones are compelling in ways that She-Hulk probably just can't be, frankly.
Right. Right. It's different. It's totally different genre. Not even because it's like Marvel versus Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings. It's just a different type of show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and a type of show that I care about less than the other types, I suppose. I think that's a good point. Is I don't know, it's not sitcom or anything. I don't even know if it's supposed to be comedy, like supposed to have elements of comedy, but yeah, it's pretty different.
Right.
Um, so which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's do House of the Dragon first.
All right, Dragon Show episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Another wedding.
Yeah, the green wedding, you might say.
Yeah.
The girl who wore the green dress, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It didn't like sell me or anything on it. It was okay. I wasn't super in love with this episode.
Yeah, it's like hinting that Viserys is gonna die pretty soon. The
It
king.
is. Um, I was a little bit disappointed that Rhaenyra just agreed to like follow in what she's supposed to do and get married. I thought she was gonna kind of buck the trend a little bit more and be more of the black sheep, so to speak.
I mean, I think she was like, all right, well, fine, like this. So I bet that if it was something she didn't like at all,
Mm-hmm.
that someone she couldn't work with, I bet that she would have actually. I bet she would have bucked the trend. I think she was like, oh, you know what? Okay, all right. So this is my cousin or whatever. Like
Right.
it's, but she's like familiar with him, and they like immediately came up with they're like, all right, well, neither of us really want to get married to each other, but we have, we're gonna do what's right for our houses. And I did think it was nice. It was nice to see that she has a lot of duty.
Right.
It like she feels dutiful about things. I did like that.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Um, I thought it was hilarious that he's her cousin. I just immediately was like, well, it's not her brother. It's not her uncle.
I
So,
know. I know. I'm like, oh hey, that's for these guys, that's practically like they don't know each other, practically strangers.
uh, what did you think about Damon at the start with his wife?
I didn't like that at all. And I thought it was so silly. He's like, she's not attractive. And I'm like, she's pretty attractive, but you know, I didn't like it at all, actually. I've always had this thought of like, well, like he's a dick, but he's not like I don't know, like cold-blooded murder the way he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I like for someone who didn't really do anything to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
they got married, but it's probably not her fault either. And like I don't know. I didn't have It makes me like him significantly less.
Yeah. Um, he just comes across more like that for me was just a point in his character to draw to the audience that he is a lot more volatile than what we've seen.
Yeah.
I think
I,
so.
I guess. What yeah, so what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a lot. I was like, this seems like a drastic step. We're escalating very quickly here. Uh, so and then he just like he was just so smug. It was almost like he was smug about it afterwards, like at the wedding and everything. He's just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so sad. But like you could
Well,
tell it was just so thinly veiled and insincere.
yeah. So, all right, we saw a little bit more dragon stuff this time, but not much. What I wanted to know was like, why didn't Viserys fly
Right.
to the place? Instead, he's like on the ship and he's like vomiting and sick, and it's like, like sure, I guess he could do that, but why didn't? If he commands the dragons, like we don't have any proof. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, dragons! Like that's the only thing keeping the realm together. And we've never seen dragons just go and just dominate something. Like they came in and fought that one guy and the crab dude,
Oh yeah, the
crab
Crab King.
crab face, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and the dragon, they're like, well, we can't win this with dragons. I'm like, so what you're saying is dragons aren't all powerful.
Yeah. I mean that's a
Eh,
good point. I don't know why he wouldn't fly.
like what's awe-inspiring about like sailing on a ship? Like why can't he just fly his freaking dragon, take his heir with him,
Mm-hmm.
and if they want to do anything to him, he's like, what, I'm on a dragon, like try to mess with me and I'll kill you. I will take over your keep, you know.
Try me. Um, yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of really, and I don't even know if this would be the case, is like, would he just not do it because he's clearly dying? Like, would it just be a case of not being comfortable?
Yeah, like maybe he's too weak for it.
Yeah.
I mean that very well could be. I don't know. Not to mention, you think that he could just demand that these guys show up, and if not, he could send out his dragon riders. Like you'd think that he has other people like so other than him and his brother, which like they don't get along, and if he's too weak to ride, like who else could even ride dragons? Like our train and who?
Yeah, her, Viserys, Damon. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, and they're like, we command the dragons, and it's like, which dragons, and what?
Yeah.
How do you command said dragons?
Like, I don't think Aegon's doing anything, and however old he is.
Yeah, he's probably like 12 by now. Who knows? This show keeps like advancing it every year. They're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yep, 20 years. Like I fully expect at some point we're gonna like it's just gonna like skip a generation, and we're gonna have just like a full different dragon show cast.
Uh, and it's funny because they are skipping ahead so many years, and
Mm-hmm.
then we are going to get different actresses next week.
I know in the preview, the two girls,
Mm-hmm.
the two friends, like our town and the
Allison.
series, his wife, yeah, Allison. Who I actually like her. They're both, I think, being replaced though with other actresses.
Right. Which I just find that to be an interesting move.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Like they have to cover the range of fit from 15, like all the way to like lower middle ages. So I don't know how old they get by the end of the show, but you know, but like to full adulthood, the
Mm-hmm.
people look pretty different from that. Like it's tough to be able to make actresses look that wildly different to age them that much.
It's just, I don't know. I just find it interesting because I'm like, I look the same that I looked when I was 15.
Do you?
Yep. The only thing that's different is my glasses.
Hmm. I feel like you sent me a picture of yourself when you were like 12 or something, and we had a good laugh. But
Yeah. um, but like, I don't know. I
yeah,
just don't get it because they're clearly in their 20s by now.
oh yeah, like well into their 20s.
So
Mm-hmm.
I assumed it was going to happen from them being like 14, 15 and then jump ahead to their 20s. I could see that. It just
Okay.
seems weird that they haven't done it by now and now they're going to do it. But anyway, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So it just makes me wonder, like, how far are they going to skip ahead now? Like, is it going to be like 10 more years?
Right.
Because the preview had Viserys in it.
So he's clearly still alive.
Right. Like, you kind of hinted, like, maybe he was just dead at the end. But he's not. Like, the previews clearly show him and he's smiling about something.
Could
I
be,
don't know what he has to smile about.
I mean, it could be like a flashback scene or something.
Looks older, and it's
Okay.
the older girls. It doesn't matter. The it's an interesting thing though. Like all three of our shows actually have a lot of weird time things going on because this
Mm-hmm.
one is like it's fast forwarding through the like we're just getting like the highlights. It's like oh yeah, so like at one point they did this, and then there's like 3 years of relative just like peace and nothing's really happening, and then we go and then we have another flashpoint of something interesting, and then another flashpoint 3 years beyond that or something like that.
Right.
So they're messing with time and stuff. The Rings of Power one is like trying to condense the whole storyline of the Second Age, all like 3,000 years,
Mm-hmm.
all into like one. Like we already have like all the end game cast, like all of the cast that are going to be there at the very end are already in the show, which means they're condensing it all into one like lifespan at the very least.
Right.
And then we have the Andor one, which we already know the end point. We know he gets roasted by the Death Star. Like we know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, why do we care about his backstory? Why do we want to know more about him? They have to sell us. And so we get to see his past. And so far, it's a little compelling, actually.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of time play.
Right. And I don't know, like it's just interesting to watch the craft of the people creating these,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
and,
can.
and like try to take them and make them into something that is interesting to the wider audience, people who don't know much, like to the non-super fans.
Right. Well, and also like if you just tell a linear story, it is pretty boring. Like if you're not jumping around too much, I think.
Well, I guess it just depends on what story it is, but I mean, you're probably right to a lot of degrees.
Like if I'm just trying to think off the top of my head of a story that doesn't include some kind of time jump in it, whether it's like with flashback or what the deal is.
Sure,
Um,
that's fair.
and I
Yeah,
think
I mean, I think that a well-crafted story really takes in the greater context of things and finds a way to make a lot of different things relevant, a lot
mm-hmm,
of moving parts.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so they got married, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So remind me, I don't really remember. Okay, so what's the last name of the family she's marrying into?
Oh gosh. I did remember it, or I did know it, and then now I
Well,
can't remember.
what I'm curious is, so it's like one of the like there's the seven kingdoms, right? Like there's the seven kingdoms.
Right.
Um, is it eventually one of the seven kingdoms as well, or does this family eventually kind of get stamped out?
Ooh. I don't know.
So I kind of just don't remember it. And they were saying there's something like they're the only two families with dragons or something.
I feel like I hadn't heard their name before this show.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of led to believe that it's just going to be stamped out, given what we are assuming will happen with the Targaryens.
You and your assumptions.
I know, but like given what's going on, um,
Yeah.
and what the end result is here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm guessing that they just get stamped out. I'm trying to find his name. Um,
Lord Corley's something.
let's just look at the cast real quick.
Yeah, I'll find it faster than you.
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah.
I found it first.
No.
Yeah. It took me way less time. Yeah, I don't know if the Valerians are part, like they're not that's not one of the main houses later, is it?
I don't remember them being a main house, so I don't think they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up the Seven Kingdoms in Game of Thrones. Let's see.
Yeah, I've never heard their name before the show.
It doesn't really say what houses. So there's the North, the Vale of Arryn,
Mm-hmm.
the Iron Islands. Maybe that's what their family is. I don't know. The Riverlands, the Westerlands, the Stormlands, the Reach, and the Crownlands and Dorne. I don't know. I don't know which one it would be. Yeah, there's a lot of resources. People who know this stuff a lot better than me would probably
Mm-hmm.
know. House Aaron, House Hoare, House Lannister, Durandon,
Mm-hmm.
Highgarden,
Mm-hmm.
House Martell. Oh, hold on, not Highgarden. House Gardner, House Lannister, House Martell. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah. So maybe they do get stamped out.
Okay, well that's fine. Goodbye. Goodbye to House Valerian.
That's fine. I mean,
I don't really care.
given how the wedding started, or I guess ended, I'm not surprised.
Okay, so who's your favorite character right now?
I don't
Or if
know.
it's if it's hard, like who's your favorite too?
I don't know if I have any favorites.
Like, do you like any of them?
I like Rhaenyra. That's probably. I don't like
Do
Allison. I
you?
think she's up to no good.
Okay.
I fully expect, especially with this time jump that we're gonna get, and they go into the however many years ahead. Um, I'm fully expecting some bad blood between her and Rhaenyra.
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna happen for sure.
Um, Damon's an ass.
Hmm.
I don't know if I really like any of them.
Do you
I'm
like
kind of
the
just
king?
wait. I'm kind of no, no. I think the king is totally spineless. Uh, I am just kind of waiting for them all to like implode.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just waiting for them to kill each other.
So why are we watching a show that you don't even like a character in?
I'm just waiting for them to
Interesting.
kill each other.
Okay. Yeah, let's just wait for that. Let's get some gratuitous violence in here. Yeah.
I'm curious to see where the storyline goes, but
So I actually like Allison so far.
no.
I think think of her situation. Like you don't think that she just pushed into marrying the king and to talking to him and
Mhm.
stuff. Like she clearly she's not just like, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. Like she's like, oh my gosh, it's so late. Like why do you have to summon me? This is so stupid. Like she doesn't like that. She's tries to be friends with Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra's just like, no, I'll just deceive you. Like F you. Like I don't trust you. I don't like you. Her her dad, her only ally, is just gone. He's just like been dismissed. And I mean, I don't necessarily think he was a great guy either, but he got dismissed.
Mhm.
And so I guess I can feel like she's so isolated.
Mhm.
And I think it's cool, especially this episode, that she's making a move. Whether or not it's going to end up being good, but like I think she's making a statement of like, I'm not gonna just be diminished into just like, basically the child, like the person who's just pumping out children for the king. Like, I'm not gonna just be that one person.
Right.
I'm going to have my own power, my own allies. I'm going to make the best of this, and screw you guys for diminishing me.
Well, so it's funny that you say that because I think the reason why I haven't liked her is because I feel like she has no personality. I feel like she just doesn't have her own willpower. And now that she is doing this, I think this is what's going to start her down a I don't want to say like down a path, but I think this is probably what's going to make her and Renara completely split entirely and cause that divide. And then I think that's where we're going to start seeing. I fully expect to see Allison do stuff that is not wise, and I
I think
think
she's going to do stuff that's shady as hell.
yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, like you said, she's isolated. She has had pretty much no control over anything. So
Mm-hmm.
she's just like, it's like the blind leading the blind, essentially.
Hmm. Okay. I think she's going to do things that are wise for her.
I think
I
she's
think
going to think
she's.
they're wise for her, and I think they're going to be very stupid.
Okay.
I'm fully expecting her to be like, she's on my sus list.
Okay. All right. The sus list. Got it.
She's on the sus list.
I don't have any problem with her, frankly.
It's
I think she's gonna make things more interesting.
it's interesting because she is like, you don't know what her intentions are. You don't really know anything about her. And it's almost worse in a way because you don't know which way she's going to go. Whereas with Damon, you're like, okay, you know what his intentions are. You know that he's an
Do we?
ass.
We know his intentions are to be an ass. Like he's gonna be selfish.
Right. Like you can see what his schemes are already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's I don't know what to think. Honestly, like I think I don't know what any of them are gonna do, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Like I know that Damon's just gonna be selfish, but I don't know what form that selfishness is gonna take it. Like
Right.
whatever he can do to just, yeah, be kind of a dick. And Rhaenyra, I think she is, in a way, like, it's nice to see that she's like, well, I do need to do this. Like, this is an important thing, for the realm and all of this stuff. Like, she has some loyalty to her family, but at the end of the day, like, she's also, I don't know. I feel like she's not as, uh, like, she's just so naive about a lot of things. Like, I feel like and a lot of it's like on her, that's on her. Like, it's her fault for being that way. So I don't know, like, maybe their goal is to make us so sick of all the characters that when they finally do have an event where half of them die, we're all just like, nice, okay.
We're like, thank you for that. We didn't want to see them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, I don't have much more to say about it. Oh yeah, I guess Sir Kristen Cole, I thought that was an interesting
Yeah, that's a good
thing.
point. I thought he was interesting too.
Like, I thought that the guy he snapped on really surprised me, actually.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Like, I was like, okay, a wedding, like something obviously. I thought something was gonna happen when Allison walked in. Actually,
Okay.
I thought maybe she was gonna do something. I was like, this is odd. But yeah, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was a nice role reversal to see the guy trying to convince the girl to like be like, yeah, let's run away and let's do this. And
Hmm.
um it was refreshing. And then to see like Renara be like, no, like I need to stay here and you can be my side piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I was very surprised that he decided to jump. I can't even remember his name now. The other guy.
But I don't remember the husband either.
Yeah, I can't
The
remember him either. Cousin. Cousin
the
husband.
our town's husband's side piece,
Right.
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. That was he had a nice misshapen face there at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's gonna be an interesting I don't know if they're gonna like just skip ahead of that next episode and just
I wonder what's gonna happen with him. Like, Alicent is saving him for something,
right.
and I don't think it's gonna be. It's got to be like, oh hey, like, everything's good now. Like, it's all like healthy suddenly.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I was like, oh well, if he kills himself, that'll actually just help everyone probably. So, even though actually he's one of the only people who has shown any level of integrity, to be honest.
That's true. That's very true. So I don't know. I think you're right. Allison obviously has plans for him. Maybe we'll see that next episode.
Maybe, or maybe we'll see it like in 5 seasons and they just drag the show out
Oh man.
interminably.
All right.
Episode 49. We're like, who's that? Oh, that guy.
Right, him.
Rhaenyra's side piece.
We haven't seen him
Right.
since the first season.
Yep. He's like, I'm back.
Oh man. Okay, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about House of the Dragon.
Nah, Dragon Show. It's I'm like, I guess I watched half of it. I guess I may as well finish the rest. It's not holding my attention that much though, frankly. Like,
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Is that I have to. It's not a show that I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this because it's out.
right. Well, it's funny. I mean, it's all anecdotal, but so I do a live stream for the game that I play. I have a YouTube channel for it and everything. And so House of the Dragon comes out at the same time as I usually go on live stream on Sundays. And
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that I have more, like, for a while, like when it first started, my crowd was like way smaller. And then it'd
Right.
get bigger once Dragon Show was basically had an hour to watch. Like, everyone's like, oh, I gotta watch it instantly. And now my crowd is just like about as big as it has been.
Right. So it's
If
kind
you're
of
like, it can wait.
like the effect has worn off.
The have to watch it instantly
Yeah.
effect. Yeah.
Like I
Whether or
don't
not I'm sure it's losing some viewers. That's just how these shows go. Like you can't hold all of them,
for
but
sure. Like for me, if a show has hooked me pretty well, I'll watch it the day it's out. Um,
yeah, I'll try to at least. Yep.
right? And this one I can usually go like 2 or 3 days before I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch this.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I have to talk about it on a podcast. I guess I'd better be knowledgeable about it a little bit.
uh, yeah. Um, okay, so which one do you want to talk about next?
So we've traditionally talked about Rings of Power last, but I think we should talk about Andor last, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
Because Andor's the new hotness, and there's 3 episodes that they should at least this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're good with that.
Yep. So we both just finished it because it just came out. Um,
We tried to do a watch party, and they're like, sorry, it's not available in your region or something.
yeah,
You're not allowed to have a watch party with me.
I was like, this is stupid. Like, why can't I have I can only have a watch party with Canadians, I guess.
I guess, yeah. You guys, your interpretation of things is just going to be too sus for we Americans.
This is
So
not what inclusion is all about, Jeff Bezos. Not a
let him
fan.
know. Oh, this
Uh,
is what you meant when you said you were going to tell him. Okay.
I was just so annoyed by it, but anyway. Um, okay, so we watched it, not using a watch party. Um, what did you think of it?
Um,
Especially because last week we both said it feels like the action is now starting. Like we had all of this kind of like backstory, and now we've got like everything pushing forward.
yeah, this felt. I won't lie. Like, so I really want to want like the show, and I do like it actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good stuff about it. However, like this is the first time that I'm like, can we actually move forward, please? Because I feel like nothing got accomplished this episode. Like it was just like an extent, like it felt like nothing needed to be done in this episode, except for I guess they advanced a few things like with the dwarves, like that, the dwarves and the elves,
Mm-hmm.
and the hobbits or the Harfoots, sorry. Um,
Mm-hmm.
those two storylines, but like the Numenor one was just like, let's just push the stall button on.
Yeah, I felt that way too, actually.
Like I and really like pretty similar to the Watchtower part as well
Mm-hmm.
with the Arondir and stuff. Like there are a few things that happened, and overall, like so. I tend to be a patient person. I'm like, okay, let's just soak it in. Like if there are filler episodes, we can just roll with it. And I'm just like, we have so it's a filler episode in a season that is very quickly going to be over. We have 3 hours, 3 seasons. There's
Right.
3 episodes left, and it's like, what have you done? Like, introduced us to things is what they've done so far.
This episode is why I feel like the season's just going to abruptly end.
Yeah, they're like, oh, sorry, we're out of time. Like, see you next season. We're like, okay,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah,
The
because
preview,
sorry, go ahead.
the preview did look like there's going to be some real, actual movement next time, but
Mm-hmm.
go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say like the Numenor stuff. It it really did feel like a stall button because everything that happened, in my opinion, in this episode could have happened in the last episode while they were, working towards like this whole thing.
Yeah, so I guess there are a couple key things in the Numenor stuff that I guess are okay. So first off, it establishes that like Elendil's kids,
Mm-hmm.
at least the two that we've met, like we haven't met, what's his name? I forget his name, but so he has 2 sons, one of whom is just has been off screen this whole time, but like Isildur is like in a way he's I don't know, he's deficient kind of
Right.
like he wants to have good awesome things, he wants to display his whatever his value, and it's like he just can't quite, it's like he something's off with him.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, and the daughter
Hmm.
is like clearly like we don't know much about her, but she's like anti-war apparently.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I kind of got that vibe a little bit earlier, but they haven't really dove into that in terms of like exploring that. They haven't really given us backstory to her other than that she just exists there.
Well, she's not a character that existed in the books.
Right. And I get that, but like why should I care that she is upset that Isildur is, you know what I mean? Like they haven't really
Hmm.
addressed it. She's very two-dimensional still.
Right, yeah, that's like, oh well, she's attractive, great, like
Right.
that's what we needed, I guess. But so one thought I had what that was interesting, so she's clearly anti-war, she's like anti-elf basically,
Hmm.
because that's what he equates for. Like no one's saying like, oh, we shouldn't go to the mainland because of the humans. They're saying like, well, we don't want to follow an elf.
Right.
Like they don't like that. So the thing that I thought was interesting though, so I don't want to give away too many spoilers, and honestly I don't know what they're going to do in terms of their total, like what parts of the story are they going to keep and which parts are they going to change. But at some point they make a temple, they build a temple to someone,
Hmm.
and it's not maybe the best thing ever. It's kind of uh you know in keeping with their hating of the elves, and it just makes me think that this temple that's going to eventually be constructed on Numenor
Hmm.
is going to be built by her because she's an architect.
Okay. Maybe.
I don't know, it's like just this glimmer. Maybe them just totally off, but like,
I mean, I feel like you have to give her some kind of role and purpose.
right, and maybe it's like she's going to yeah, she's just gonna it's gonna be a whole mess,
Right.
going to be a whole mess for everyone involved. It's not going to end well, but yeah. So I think she's going to be like someone who helps tear her family apart a little bit.
Okay. Interesting.
And Isildur, I don't know. He's trying all the ways except like the forward pass. Like he just wants to cut corners.
Hmm.
He's a corner
Absolutely.
cutter.
The corner cutter.
Well, and he becomes the High King of Gondor. Like at some point in the future, that's who he is. And it's like, are we going to see him actually grow into a man who is actually like honorable and good and whatever, or are we starting to see already he has cracks in his facade? Like he doesn't he's not strong, he's going to succumb to the weakness of the ring eventually.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, but I feel like almost he's getting more. I mean, I guess he is an established character, so I guess I can understand it from that side that he's getting more of a storyline than his sister is. But seeing as he's established, then that sort of makes sense.
I liked how Halbrand, like his aesthetic changed so much at the end. He looks so
Yeah.
lordly, like he looks the part of a king, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
I noticed that too, and I was like, this is whole new thing. Um,
Yep.
I thought it was humorous that Galadriel was like teaching them how to fight with
Hmm.
swords.
I
Um,
like that part actually.
I liked it a lot. I just thought it was funny, and then every time they added like another soldier, basically, I was like, man, this
Hmm.
is. At first, when the second one joined in, I was like, that's not fair, like 2-on-1, and then she just
Right.
was just schooling them. There was like 5-on-1 at one point, I think. I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
is silly. But I mean, I think she made really valid points, and it was humorous to have somebody else be like, you think it's just about brute strength, and it's not. You also need to be clever and,
Mm-hmm.
like outwit your opponents.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked
Mm-hmm.
that scene a lot, especially because they're like, yeah, I will destroy her. Like clearly,
Right,
like
right.
the arrogance of men, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and not like the arrogance of males, though. I mean, I
No,
guess it took that form a little bit, but
right, but of men, the species.
right of humans,
Yeah,
like that they're like, yeah, we're like better, and they're like, well, the arrogance of elves needs to be shifted, and it's like, well, maybe the elves have earned a little bit of arrogance,
right.
frankly, like she's been around for how many thousands of years, and she
Mm-hmm.
just like beat the crap out of all those guys because she has all the experience.
Right, exactly. Um, so it was a funny thing. I like that they included it. So, and I liked the cinematography for it.
Yeah, and the music has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything else about Numenor?
Just that. So Isildur, he's like trying to stow away.
Oh
He's
yeah.
like, I just want to list real quick, just to
Mm-hmm.
be clear about. Okay, so first he volunteers. That's great, cool, good for you. Thanks for volunteering, bud. But we don't have room. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, Dad, you have control of the list. Let me in. Let me get in the front. And kudos to his dad, who's like, you know what, like. I would love it if you gave me a reason to, but you haven't given me a reason. Like you
Right.
stood tough. Like sorry, like I'm not just gonna give you a free ride. And then he goes to his friend who he thinks is gonna get. I thought he was gonna pick up the sword and he was gonna get the hit on her, is what I thought.
Okay.
But he didn't. Instead, he tries to weasel his way in that way, and his friend's like, you know what? No, like screw you. Like we're still friends. We're made up. We've made up. We're friends now again. But no, like you don't get a free ride.
Mm-hmm.
And so his response isn't like, I'm going to do better and I'm going to get a better opportunity next time. Like, I'm going to improve myself. Instead, he's like, stowing away. Why not?
Right.
And then. And then when they blow up the ship, which is like this crazy thing that they weren't suspected for doing it in the first place.
Right. I'm like, you're in the water, swimming away from the scene of the crime.
Right. What happened? Oh, this guy who probably shouldn't have been in the water in the first place. Like, why were you on a little boat in there anyways? Like,
Right.
he just happened to be there right when the boat exploded. Like, but he saved me. He saved me. And they both like lie, and it shows their like degenerate moral character of just like,
It.
he's and then he gets a spot because of something he didn't do. He didn't earn it.
Right. Oh, well, and it was even funnier too with the lie because they were like, "Oh yeah, he was there like on a little bow, and then it exploded." And I'm like, "But then why was Isildur there?"
Yeah, how did he notice? Like you're not the
Like,
part of the Sea Guard,
right, like right away, I'm like,
clearly.
"But why were you in the water?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't on the boat with him."
No questions. They're just like, oh, did you see that? My son was heroic. Get him on the boat. Like,
Right.
uh, so I could see that. Like, if I would want to, as a dad,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Elendil is capable. I don't think any parent who loves their son
Mm-hmm.
is capable, or daughter is capable of being objective in that moment. He's just
Right.
like, oh, I wanted you to be heroic. Please, yes, you're heroic here. Like,
But I will say it was funny because he gets to go, and join them, and then
yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah, you're on stable duty. You're gonna sweep the
The poop.
yeah."
Yeah.
And I was like, that actually is pretty good. Like,
And he winked at his son. I think he was doing it so that his son, people would see that he wasn't playing favorites.
right.
But yeah, it was good. So Isildur has an opportunity. Let's see if he makes the best of it, and he turns into a decent human,
Yeah.
a decent Numenorian version of humans.
Right. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then the only other part that really felt like it moved forward was the Harfoots, like you were saying earlier. I feel like we saw a ton with the stranger. Like,
Yeah,
are you?
decent amount.
I just don't know what to think about him anymore. I'm like, are you good?
I like that they needed him to be part of it, or the Harfoots would be like, why do we even care at all? Because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've decided I don't care that much about the Harfoots that much. Like
It's him.
the Harfoots are somewhat charming at
Mm-hmm.
times,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the actually. I didn't know what to think, but I like the song. Like Poppy was singing,
Mm-hmm.
and they turned it into an actual. Like it was pretty. I thought it is fitting for the Harfoots. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't care about them as much, but the stranger is very, very intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think that's what the thing is, because I found myself this time with the Harfoots, I was being more like critical of what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
because at the start it looked like they were so far away from the rest of them,
It did, yeah.
that I was like, okay, they're clearly at the end. They have basically been abandoned and are just trying to catch up. And I was like, why is Poppy with them? Like, why isn't Poppy with her family? Like this, that was something that stuck out to me. And then obviously they do catch up to the rest of them, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so you weren't that far behind, or you were and somehow caught up anyway. And it was just the whole thing. It kind of distracted me. Um, but then like you had this whole storyline with the stranger and like what he was doing and saving them, but also scaring Nori entirely. Um,
Yeah.
so now I'm just like, I don't know what to think of you. Or
Well, it was so. I mean, they're doing a good job of making us not know what his nature is. Because I love that he's like, she's explaining these different words. Like
mm-hmm.
uh, what's the word? It was like not danger, but
Per- Perrin?
peril.
Peril?
Peril.
Was it Peril?
Yeah, he's like, I peril, or I'm peril, or whatever.
Hmm.
And she's like, no, I'm good. You're good. And he's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
And so then he shows himself to be good by saving them against those strange looking wolves,
right. Donkey wolves.
donkey wolves. Sure. They're pretty weird. Like, why? I mean, they have different footprint. They're clearly, very clearly a different species. They're just calling them wolves, like
Yeah.
they're dog-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like they're headed for the hobbits. He saves them with some awesome power thing, and then she's like, "Hey, good news! Everyone likes you finally."
Right.
And then it turns out the only person who doesn't like him is her now.
Right. Because he scared her.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can't blame her. I also just don't like he. It seems obvious to me, and maybe I'm misreading it, that he just doesn't know or understand what he's doing.
Right. Well, I was like, why are you grabbing his arm?
Right.
Like, what good is that going to do? Like that's just being foolish, and then you're going to blame him.
Right.
Yeah, like exactly. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just like, and he's in the middle of something. He doesn't even know that she's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like he's not reacting at all to you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was super super interesting. Um, and then like obviously he is important because you have these like strangers looking at the site where he landed. Um,
Oh yeah, the creepy ones.
right, and they look like they're not nice.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I wouldn't want those guys looking for me.
Right, but did you notice that the one that was down by like his site, that they were like inspecting the grounds and everything,
Mm-hmm.
their fingertips were blackened the same way his were when he was doing like the I think it was with the fireflies or something. He had blackened hands at the beginning too, I think, if I'm
I don't.
remembering correctly.
I don't
Maybe it's
remember.
just because of the ground, but
Yeah, I don't remember his fingertips being blackened. I didn't notice that theirs were either, though. So that's a good catch.
theirs definitely were. And it was just like the
Sure.
fingertip
Oh,
parts.
I believe you. Having only seen it once, that's not a detail I noticed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe I only noticed it because they look like evil.
Hmm. They look pretty sinister.
Mm-hmm. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I think he's going to end up being one of the wizards, but who knows? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he's Sauron. I don't think he's Sauron,
I don't
but
think he's Sauron either. Um,
I think he'd be confused about being good.
yeah,
I good?
yeah. Yeah. I think he's a wizard,
Well, I mean, he's got the right kind of powers.
right? Like he acts like he would be. So
Hmm.
anyway, um, yeah. I think those two were the only two things that really like those two parts were the only two bits of storyline that
Oh,
actually
the dwarf part,
the
the
dwarf
dwarfs and the
part. Yeah.
elves. I like the Durin like lied to him about the table. I was like, that's pretty
Uh,
dwarfish. That was pretty good.
it was pretty good. It was like conniving, and he's like, "Yeah, we want this back.
Yeah.
We're just gonna take it." Um, yeah, that was good to see. And it helped, I think, uh, progress forward like why that mineral is that ore is so important. Um,
Yeah.
which is obviously going to come into it later on, but
Uh, I could be wrong. I think that's pretty new. I don't think I think that that's like the show making it. Like I don't think
is
that's part
it?
of the old lore. I'm not saying it's bad. I was like I've never heard of this that I could remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seemed like they were really emphasizing it.
Oh no, I mean it was good and it was good to see like it's interesting because Elrond was like I lied to you and I was like I don't feel like he lied at any point.
No, I think he was deceived and or
Yep.
tricked, manipulated, whatever word you want to use, into
Yep.
going on this trip. Um,
Right.
false
I think
like false information or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, like he was it definitely was manipulated. And so I don't feel like he was lying.
Hmm.
Like you could say maybe like the elven people were lying or something, but he himself had been trying to be true to his friendship. And I did like that he stuck to his guns for like
Well, I think that's a good point too because he does like he tells Jiren like you're saying like oh I lied to you for why I was there and it's like well you didn't and you also stuck to your guns like you're saying in terms of not telling anybody what you swore you wouldn't tell.
hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like that gives you some leeway.
Well, at the end of, like maybe his like speech didn't communicate it, but Durin obviously understood at least some of what was going on. Of like Elrond was basically like I was a pawn for
Right.
them, and the problem is we're gonna die out as a species suddenly, which I don't know. Like, so why would the Silmaril, the power, like why would this metal actually save the elves? I'm not sure, but
Right. I'm also unsure about that.
yeah, and it put Gil Galad into a little bit of a sus position for me because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like Gil Gilgalad is like they write songs about him in the like third age. Like they have songs about Gilgalad. Like they're in the Fellowship of the Ring and stuff like this. He's like the longest tenured elvish high king,
Mm-hmm.
and he's this heroic figure who has a very important part to play in the future. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and like he seems morally degenerate too. Like he's just like let's just manipulate people. Let's send Galadriel off because we just want to get her out of the way and all this stuff.
Right. Well, and like for me, I'm like, okay, so Elrond was sent there with false information, totally misled
Mm-hmm.
about why he was being sent there. And now he's being told this information of like, oh yeah, we're gonna die out and this ore is the only thing that could save us were the words. It could do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would be like, well, how do I know you're not misleading me again to do this because I don't want my species to die out. I don't want to be responsible for that. And you just want this ore.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking too. Of like, okay, so you found like this diseased tree,
Right.
and you're like, hey, this is a good opportunity to kind of because Elrond can be the lever.
Right.
Like that. None of the other ones have a friendship with the dwarves, and if as far as they see it, like the dwarves are kind of beneath them, anyways. Like that's kind of how the elves have always treated the dwarves, and the dwarves are like, well, screw you, pointy ears. So they finally find someone like the Elrond is like he used to be human. Actually, he's one of the only
Mm-hmm.
ones. They're like, oh hey, like finally one person has the temperament to be friends with the dwarves, so they use that as their way to get in and get what they want from the dwarves again. Like I don't really see. I don't know. I half expect to find Anatar. Like I half expect to find like that's the name for Sauron. Like
Mm-hmm.
in their midst, like in their council already right now,
Oh,
just in the
jeez.
background pulling strings. That's almost what I think right now.
Oh, man. Yikes. Um, yeah, because the whole thing just seemed very devious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, do you have any thoughts about the watchtower stuff?
So you thought that Theo was sus last time, and I was like, I think he was fine, and I think I was right.
I still don't love him.
You don't have to love him. I don't think he's that cool one way or another.
Um, yeah, this whole storyline seemed very. It also seemed very slow and stalled out.
Yeah, well, I want to know what happened to all the rest of the humans. Like, how
Me
many of
too.
them? How many of them got killed?
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds
Because
like they're all gonna they have to kill half of each other, kind of.
that's what it that's what it sounded like. Like if you want in, you have to kill somebody.
Hmm.
Eventually, you're gonna run out of people to kill. Um, yeah, because you didn't see them at all when they were marching towards the watchtower. I was looking for creepy old man in the orcs.
Yeah.
I was fully expecting to see him in there because oh, that look that he got at the end that he
Hmm.
gave the kid, I was just like, oh, you could just see
Dirty.
like his entire. It was like his soul just evaporated out of his body.
Yeah, it was pretty sinister for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, guess I'm gonna do it.
Right. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I have expected. Kind of thought the orcs were just gonna slaughter him. Frankly.
Yeah, and just be like, all right,
All
you
right,
came to
stupid.
us, you made our jobs considerably easier,
Yep. Thank you for that.
right? Hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know.
I think that the Numenorians are going to arrive just in time and
Hmm.
save the tower. Well, especially because they already pointed out, oh yeah, they're going to be in Ostirith or Ostirith, whatever it is.
Right. Um. Yeah. I mean, I think they will too. It's just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, the Watchtower part plus the sword thing. I just I don't know what to make of it. Frankly, like
Yeah. That was just kind of weird.
like it's the key to something, and they do something, and there's like a statue about it, and I'm like, okay, like where are you going with this? Like, because
Right.
then they're like, I have to expect he's like, this is the way we can beat them. This is the way we can resist. But instead, he's like, oh, this is just this weird thing. And she's like, okay, so tell us how to beat him. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I fully expected him to like make it connect to the part of the wall where he had seen it and and then I don't know, a magic door would open or something. Like
Right.
I was expecting something and he was like, "Yeah, that I don't know what it does."
Yeah, I thought maybe it would be like the exit to the tower or something, and they like can escape from the
Right.
orcs or something.
I also was kind of thinking like maybe Theo would take it from him like when he saw the thing like maybe there would be something in him since he's obviously connected to it
Mm-hmm.
that he would just intuitively know what to do with it.
Right.
Um, Obviously, that was not the case.
False. Right.
False. So, anyway, I think
Yay.
I think that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. So it I will say this. So this episode was like, okay, this is kind of fine. It's kind of testing my patience. If there's
Mm-hmm.
not a good payoff next episode, it doesn't have to be some tremendous, amazing grand. Like there needs to be some like really solid forward movement and actually have it be interesting. I really think. I think that yeah, we really need that. This needs that. I think the people who are criticizing the show need it even more, frankly, or the show
Mm-hmm.
needs it more to protect against it. Because this episode just felt like a pause button a little bit.
Right. Because we have three left, right?
Three left, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't move it forward, you need next episode to have a significant amount move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 7 to have like the
Setup, kind of.
yeah, like the setup slash climax of sorts, and then 8 like the tail end of that leading into what the rest of the next season is gonna bring.
Right. I feel like 8 is going to be like the climax, and 7 will be like the all right, everyone's gathering their forces, kind
Mm-hmm.
of, or whatever it's going to be. But like, yeah, episode 8 has to have some really important reveals and
Mm-hmm.
big moments and make us excited for next season.
Right. You have to know why it's not over.
Oh,
So yeah, I guess we'll see if they do that.
maybe they'll be like in Wheel of Time, like they'll think they killed Sauron,
But they didn't.
like they killed the Dark One.
Uh,
They're convinced, and then the Dark One's presence is still there. Then they think they killed it. Ren's
mm-hmm.
like, no, I killed him a second time. What?
Yeah.
They're like, no, he's not dead, you idiot.
Gotta kill him again.
Or for that matter, Voldemort. Like
Mm-hmm.
they keep thinking they beat him, but he's not beat. He's not done.
Does the dark one have Horcruxes? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I care.
Fair. Okay. Do you want to talk about Andor?
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Yep.
Yep. Yep. No other thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have tons, but that's enough for now.
All
That's
right.
enough out of me.
Well, I mean, we've basically got a mini movie to go over.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. There's like three main characters, kind of.
Right.
There's like Andor and whatever the girl's name is, and
Bix.
what Bix, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever the investigator guy's name is.
Right. Yeah.
Um. Okay, so first off, there's well, I don't even know what first off. I mean, it starts off with Andor, and he just like cold blooded. I like that it's consistent actually. So
Mm-hmm.
he kills those two guys. Like he's doing a thing. We don't really understand what's going on, but they chase him down. He just kills them. Like
Mm-hmm.
murders one of them in cold blood. One of them, it's like, yeah, I get it. Like
Right.
you're protecting yourself, but the other one, like he could have just left the guy, but he just shoots him. I thought it was a good callback in a way,
Mm-hmm.
like a call forward sort of to
To
what he
Rogue One.
does. Yeah, where he
Yeah.
just murders that other guy in cold blood too.
Yeah, I
Like,
thought so too. I kind of agreed with his decision though. Like, I don't think he could have just left him. I think
right,
if he like he's obviously a officer and or both of them were, and if he had
right,
just left him, like that guy's like, "Oh yeah, we'll just tell him like he fell and it was, this freak accident of sorts or whatever." And I'm like, "You're not going to stick to that story. You're
no,
going to sell him out the minute that you are back with your buddies and
oh yeah,
and hunt him down." So like it just made sense. Like the only way you get out of this is if they're both dead.
right. Well,
Or have a
I'm just like,
shot of getting out of it, I should say.
no, it was very interesting to me actually. So you're right. Your analysis is dead on in terms of like what can Cassian really do. But then I thought it was really interesting when the investigator and the older investigator guy
Mm-hmm.
talk. And normally I'm like, oh gosh, they're gonna try to sweep this under the rug, and it's like this corporate corruption thing. But I like actually agreed with the guy who was like, no, this isn't actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy who's like, if they were being unpleasant, they attacked a guy they annoyed the wrong person and they got bit for it. Like they're there's all these different levels of them being degenerates themselves, of them breaking the law and going against the rules. And
Right.
then and they were both bad people, kind of, in the like in terms of like annoying everyone, like most unpleasant people he's ever met, all this stuff. That's not like bad, I guess, but like they're all indicators of like Cassian wasn't asking for that situation. He would have been so happy to leave without having murdered or killed two people.
Right. Exactly.
Like they brought their doom on themselves. And like I liked that the investigator, the older guy, was just like, no, like let's just like sweep it under the rug because and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that knowing all of the details like the way we do,
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of sense. Like
I, it's funny too to me that it was the older one that said that, because you could tell when they're interacting, the two investigators, you can tell that he just has way more experience, has way more way more of a handle on things, knows how to talk to the other officers and whatever. Um, he seems way more level headed, like all of this kind of stuff. And then you get this younger guy in there, and he just, I was like, it looks like they plucked him out of preschool and put a hat on him, and they're like, here you go, put your big boy pants on, and he has
mm-hmm.
no clue what he's doing. And it was really evident when you compared, like, when they were going back and forth between the two of them. I was like, yeah, this guy is up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
So it was a interesting um,
Oh, it was.
contrast between the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was very interesting to see the two. Like one of them had a pretty good handle. Like he read the report and he's like, "All right, here's what happened, really. So let's like put the best spin on it that we can."
Right.
And but in reality, like you have to take both sides almost. Like if you think about it from the other guy's side, like he wants justice. Like he sees this thing that happened, and there's some indicators that like maybe they shouldn't just let the death of two people just go completely unobserved.
Right. I think he's just so inexperienced that he doesn't know how to go about getting it without getting outsmarted.
Right. Well, and at the end, you can see he's just like shocked. Like his people are dead, and
Mm-hmm.
no one likes his people anyways, and he's very clearly blundered.
Right. Exactly. And you can see it again in the contrast, because he's just standing there shocked, and the older investigator is the one like kind of running around and telling everyone what to do.
Oh, the sergeant guy, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that guy's like, oh yeah, hell, do all this stuff. He's like, sir, we have to get out of here. We have to get,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and he's just totally shocked. Like I'm hoping that's going to result in him in some character growth, and maybe he'll be an interesting guy.
Yeah. Maybe. Um.
Well, like so. One of the most interesting kind of quasi villains in any book that I've read, and it's been a while now. I totally forgot the guy's name, but he's the guy who is just like he's like an investigator as well, and like he's like got this quest to find in Les Miserables. He's trying to find the bad guy, like the hero or whatever, like someone, and it's he's taking years to do it, and it's just like this a single-minded search for him, and it's like he thinks he's doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, it's like he's hunting a guy who's actually repented and been better, and all the like I forget the exact details because it has been quite a few years since I've read it, but I just remember thinking what an interesting villain he was,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like he was doing things as he saw it, as like he was trying to do right,
Right.
but he was just so misled. He was pointed in the wrong direction.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's the case.
Who knows? Or maybe he's just a total dick, But
Yeah.
so speaking of like, so just taking it, like we could talk about the main story in a
Mhm.
like, pretty soon, but just in the terms of the investigator stuff on the side,
Mhm.
I thought it was very interesting because they keep referencing like the empire and all this stuff, but they aren't imperial. They're just
Right.
like they're like a corporation that they're like worried that the empire is going to come in and take over almost.
Yeah, it's like a side. I don't know. Like it's like they're a third party contractor or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're like, one of the sergeant was like, "Yeah, we're the first line of defense the Empire has against this kind of people or whatever."
Mhm.
And the older investigator like goes and presents this information to the Imperial whatever, like he's gonna make a report to the Empire.
Right.
Um, just think it's interesting, like these guys are hated, but they're not imperial. They're just some other random group.
Right. It's kind of like a precursor.
Yeah. Well, like we have like Cassian's like a proto rebel. He's like he
Mhm.
hates the Imperials. He's already like wanted for Imperial like destruction of property and stuff. Like but he's not a rebel yet.
Right.
He has his own agenda clearly, which we don't all the way know. Um, but then we also see like proto Imperials who they're not actually Imperials, but they're poking their nose in the places that they shouldn't, and
Mhm.
they're being too dominant about certain things.
Right. It's blowing up in their faces.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I liked how everyone just hits metal.
Just as their like warning alarm. Uh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was good though. I liked that.
No, I did.
It showed like the community there.
Yeah.
Aside from what's his face that sold Cassian out.
Yeah. Out of like jealousy or something.
Yeah. I was like, this is a dumb reason.
I don't know if it was jealousy, if it was like, I mean, there was obviously alcohol involved, but other than that, like either jealousy or like some misguided attempt to protect Bix or something.
Whatever it was, I was like, this is not a good thing.
I was watching the first part of the thing though, the first episode, and I just had to laugh. Like, I guess this is a little bit changing the subject, sorry, but like he goes into the place and my mom's like, so I was watching it with my mom who's visiting, and she's like, why do all the women have flat heads?
Ah, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I was like, yeah, they kind of do. Like, it's just their aesthetic, I guess. But
Oh man, I didn't even notice that.
like the hair, everyone's hair looks like it.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like a hairstyle, but it just made me laugh. Like
Hmm.
it makes them all look kind of dumb, kind of.
I
But like
honestly
it kind of
didn't
gives you the
even
impression.
notice it, so I'm gonna have to like look for it now.
Yeah, just the hairstyle of the females in the brothel or whatever.
Right. Um. So in terms of the storyline or how they were telling the story, really liked the flashbacks that you got to.
Mm.
I guess it was on Canary. Um.
Wanted to cry at the end.
Oh man, it. I don't know what it was though when they started those. There was something about them that I was just like, this isn't the same. Like it's not. There was something about it that I was like, there's something off here. Like I just didn't feel like it was the same timeline. Um, so then like I feel like fairly early on into those flashbacks, I kind of figured out it was probably Cassian.
Well, she called him Casa.
Right. But like I don't know, it was just very I don't know, there was just something about it that it didn't mesh with the rest of the episodes.
Right. Well, yeah, it was confusing, especially like where are the adults?
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. I was like, Where is everybody? Like, what's happened
it,
here?
it made me think like the overall thing. It made me think that like there's like an abandoned, there's a mining disaster,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, and no one, everyone, there's breathing masks with all the like everyone's trying to breathe out down there. It's like only the kids are able to survive whatever cataclysm
Right.
occurred. It made me think of like a more extreme version of COVID. They were like, the kids just don't get it, but then the people who did get it,
Yeah.
like the adults, all just died off instead of just getting sick, most of them.
Did you ever watch? There was a show called The 100 that was based off of books.
No, I don't think so.
Um, it's a similar idea to like what you're saying, which is why I'm thinking of it right now. But basically, it's a post-apocalyptic world, and they're all in space. And then they send 100 kids down to Earth to because no one can survive on Earth because of the, I guess, like the toxicity in the air or whatever it is, the chemicals. But they
Hmm.
realize that these kids can. It's like kids can survive down there.
I think I watched the first few
Um,
episodes. It's a show, right?
yeah, it was a show. Um,
Yeah, I watched some of that. It seemed like a really dramatic teen show, so I stopped.
yeah, I
But
stopped. I did not see the ending of it, but it's the same idea where you're like the adults can't survive, and then for whatever reason the kids can.
mm.
Um,
Nice. Yeah, I think I did watch some of that. Yeah. No, well, yeah, and it's always an interesting thing, like Lord of the Flies and the child
right.
power dynamics and stuff. Uh, you know, I thought it was interesting. Like they were pretty civilized, actually.
Yeah.
I thought they were all like one of the kids is like, no, you can't do that, and the girl like hisses at him or something and
Mm-hmm.
lets Cassian put a little stripe on his chin. Nice.
Right. So yeah, but I liked the flashbacks. I thought it was
Hmm.
really good, a really good way to like establish sort of
Well,
his character.
Well, in the first scene where he's like passing by, or is running by, and there's the huge like abandoned settlement kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing, and it's like, oh, these kids are kind of living like savages, but they're all wearing like clothes that look way too like they're not made out of deer skin, kind of like they're clearly made from an advanced society,
Mm-hmm.
but they're living in like wooden huts and stuff. Like clearly something has happened, but there's still remnants of the past age.
Right. Yeah. It was nice to see though, like to get that
Yeah.
backstory, and then to see I can't remember her name, and I'm only gonna call her Aunt Petunia because it's the same actress that played Aunt Petunia in the Harry Potter movies. Um, see
Oh,
her,
is it? I
yeah.
guess it is. Oh.
See, you're not gonna
Okay.
unsee it now. Um,
You did this to
I
me.
did this to you.
I will never forgive you.
But it was nice to see her get there and be like, "Yeah, we're taking him. I'm not gonna leave him here to die."
Yeah. Oh, like she did what she saw as the right thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's just so sad because he is looking for his sister, you
Right.
know? Oh, it was so sad. I didn't want him to, and he like, he has no choice, and he's just stuck with like looking for his sister now.
Hmm. It's a little sad.
Hmm.
It is a little sad.
It's real sad. It makes me so sad. But I don't know. Like it's not his fault, but she's gonna blame him anyways because I'm so sad. All right, I'll stop whining. But
I'm trying to think of like other things that really stood out to me in the first three episodes, but I feel like they've all just kind of blended into one big episode.
well, I like how like we don't know exactly what's going on with him and his missions and
Right.
stuff, but like it's very interesting because he's friends with a ton of people, and they're all suddenly like just sick of his crap. Like what happened to first off make him friends with them in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll trust him enough to like they give him money, they give him all the like all the stuff. And it's like Bix is clearly like they used to be together because she's like, oh, what happened, like did you trip over a jealous husband or something?
Right.
Like she clearly feels there's some bitterness there.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, like everyone there is like we like you, but give us our money back. Like, stop. We're gonna cut you off.
Right.
And is it just because he's just like so single-mindedly trying to find a sister, or is he doing other things too?
Right. What else is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, yeah, because I want to know more about what he's doing. And he's obviously, whatever it is that he is doing, um, it's obviously been going on for what seems like a while.
Yeah, I really liked the time that that guy got the big alien guy to come and help intimidate him.
Yeah.
He's like, he said all I had to do was stand here.
Cassie's like, okay, great. Yeah, you just do that.
Yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah, no.
And then he walks away, and the other guy looks at the big alien guy, and big alien guy's like, "What?"
Ah, yeah, it was good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just really enjoying like how the whole thing is playing out already.
Oh, well, it was so immersive too. Like I know that they said that they built like that whole set, like it's just this huge, like it all felt so real to me, at least. Like it
Yeah.
just felt, I was like, oh, this is cool. And it all felt so very believable, and this tight-knit community, and they're loyal to each other. And you just see at the end, you have the guy, the police guys who clearly have like they have jurisdiction, they said,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, oh, it's been a while since we've seen these guys, and they're clearly not popular, and everyone just starts clanging the metal. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so unnerving, but it's really cool.
It is. Yeah. Um, it's great that you pointed out that it's immersive too, because I had this thought when I was watching it. There's this scene where Cassian's like walking through. I guess it's kind of like the market or whatever it is. But it kind of just like pulls out and you see all the people milling around and all the
Mm-hmm.
different like shops and stuff. And I remember just being like, wow. I was like, I wonder where they filmed this because it looks so good. But like, because it looks like it's,
They built a whole like city.
yeah. I was like,
Like it's a whole thing.
it literally looks like they filmed it on a location. Like,
I would love to just go visit that place. Honestly, like
mm-hmm.
that, like it was cool. You've been right to
Yeah.
Disneyland, to Galaxy's Edge and
It
stuff.
actually gave me Galaxy's Edge vibes.
Yeah, like Galaxy's Edge was cool, but it's set in a time period that I don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I don't care about First Order and Resist. Like I just the sequel trilogy was just, it's like, okay, we got new Star Wars movies, fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to just get into this whole like hate on the sequel trilogy stuff. Like there were some serious issues and there was some cool stuff. And at the end of the day, it's just nowhere near as cool as anything, including the prequels, in
Mm-hmm.
my mind. It's Star Wars, but it's the least of them
Mm-hmm.
to me. And so going to Galaxy's Edge, it was still really cool to like, the first thing you can do is get some blue milk. Like that was pretty badass, like there's some cool stuff, but I want to go to this place.
Right. It made me think of like the Cantina's outposts and stuff. And yeah, it was just so well done that I was like, okay, this looks legitimate.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed. Yeah, I want to know more about all the things, really. And I
Yeah.
want to know Mon Mothma's in this season. I want to know. I'm interested to see if next episode's going to be her, and we'll have like a 3-story arc of her or something.
Yeah. I'm curious because I went on to IMDb. I can't remember why, but I went onto it looking for something. And it said that she's in 11 episodes. So I'm like, we've already
Mm.
had 3 though.
But then it's only 12 this season,
But
so
then it also says that Diego Luna, Cassian, is in 24.
Diego.
Yeah, that he's in 24. So I'm like, I wonder if if they've already started accounting for season 2 stuff, and um,
Okay.
she will maybe bleed over into season 2. But
Well, they can't leave her out of too many more.
yeah, like definitely
Well,
need,
there
need to
were
have her there.
there were scenes between her and the guy. I forget his name now. The basically the rebel spy guy who
Yeah,
comes and like
I've forgotten his name
saves
too.
Cassian or whatever. Yeah. But there are scenes in the previews between those two, like those two interacting.
Hmm. Right. So definitely need to have her show up. Hopefully in the next one.
Hmm, I hope so. Yeah, I'm very curious to see where this all goes. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that it was a very interesting episode. So one thing I wanted to point out actually is they really have stayed away from like a lot of like even just like implied sex, other than like children exist,
Right.
like and there was just like this very clear moment where Bix goes and just hooks up with this guy,
Right.
and they mentioned brothel
Mm-hmm.
as well, like that's where Cassian was. It wasn't like 100% clear to me until the investigators were talking, and he's like, they were at a brothel, which we're not supposed to allow, and
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't know, this is the most mention of sex in Star Wars that I have seen for, I don't know, like since some of the books talk about it a little bit, but not too much, but still, like the old Legends books, I mean,
Right.
like they've kind of just neatly ignored it. And I'm not saying I'm not going against what I've said in the past. I'm like, I don't think we need a lot of sex, but it's just an interesting thing because it is a human element, and I don't mind that existing. I just
Mm-hmm.
want it to be tastefully done, if that such a thing can be done. Which I thought they did fine here.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they are bringing it in because Disney is pretty like black and white on that kind of thing. So it's interesting that they are adding it in and like just letting you know that it's there, but it's not fully being addressed. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But yeah, like we don't need much more than what we had there. I just thought it was interesting. Like it was clear, very clearly what they had done. And yeah, I'm just curious to see what other things is there going to be. Like it seems like this show is actually pushing the envelope on a few of these things. Like I don't know, he just cold-blooded murders a guy in the face, like he just kills him,
right,
and I don't know, I just thought that, like you said, I don't necessarily think it was like he did the wrong thing. I don't know what he should have done. That's a what a situation to be in. I don't know, but like it adds this real value to it of like, yeah, I think that would have been an option that I would have at the very least considered for a while
right.
in that situation.
Yeah, because I mean, I just don't know what choice he would have had otherwise.
Right, but I feel like other shows in the past, or other, like we see villains murdering people, like killing them cold
Right,
blood. We don't really see good guys doing it.
right. That's a good point.
Yeah, like it adds an extra level of gray. And I mean, I've said that before when we talked about, like, back when we were talking about Wheel of Time a lot. I'm like,
Mhm.
I think I would be the guy who just, like, or at least I don't see why good guys just leave bad guys alive once they're knocked unconscious. Like, why don't they just kill them? You
Right.
know?
Just finish the job.
Yeah, and it's like this brutal mentality, and maybe it's not like morally okay. I don't know, but like on a very practical level, like that it doesn't get much more practical than that for Cassian. In that moment, he's like, I didn't want this, but they were just willing to pick a fight with me and potentially murder me anyways.
Right, exactly. So, I don't
Well,
know.
and I hope that that's a microcosm for the rest of this show. I hope that it's a lot of black and white of like, I don't know if that was okay, but I can understand why they did it.
I feel like it will be. I think we are going to see a lot of that, especially like when you look at Rogue One and tie it into Rogue One. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that will be a thing that happens.
Yeah, well, yeah, Rogue One definitely set that stage.
Hmm.
I Well, and there's that line of Cassian's who's like, yeah, we're like, when they're about to, they all decide they're going to go on their mission in Rogue One. They get on their U-wing or their transports, not U-wing, and fly off. He's like, well, all of us have done a lot of really bad stuff. Like we're saboteurs, assassins.
Right.
They've done a lot of like really bad stuff for the name of the rebels. Like, I feel like we're going to see that side of the war a little bit.
Hmm. I agree. It's almost like more scoundrelly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like we're gonna see Saw Gerrera,
Yeah.
and we'll see his side of things.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good series, at least from
Yeah.
how it started, in my opinion.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
This I hope that this one is gonna be as good to me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping that it doesn't like dip because I feel like it really like climbed with these first three episodes. I think releasing the first three was a smart idea. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think you wanted that to really hook people.
Right. Well, it was just it really didn't feel like 3 episodes. Like it was 3 episodes, but it told the story of how he got on the shuttle with that guy at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, I want to see how Bix, like, 'cause she's going to be in the rest of it as well. I think she's in season 2, even they said.
How she.
If she ties into it, because it seems like they could potentially just leave the rest of that planet alone for most of the rest of the season.
Right. Or if they're gonna like somehow get in contact with him to help. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, "Come on, Cassian, you need to save us from these guys."
Right. I don't know.
Yeah. It was good. I'm rooting for Cassian. He's going to be alive for 5 years
Right.
from now on. Ooh, one thing I wanted to point out. I don't know if anyone else noticed. Okay, so at the start it said like where they were, like the planet that they're at, and it says five BBY. Did
Okay.
you understand that? Did you see that?
I think I did. Yeah.
Or year 5 BBY.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that stands for?
I can't remember. I know somebody has told me what it stands for, but I can't remember it.
So it's the way they used to talk reference like the when the different things in Star Wars happened
Yeah.
before the Battle of Yavin.
Right. Okay. I knew it was like their reference point. I just couldn't remember what it actually stood for.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. Like that's they started doing that back in Star Wars Legends back in the day, like back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it would be ABY after Battle of Yavin, like that. Yavin is like the touchstone of when all the different events, all the different books. It's like, hey, this book happens 55 years before Battle of Yavin, or 85 years after, whatever.
Right.
I don't know. It's just fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense to include it. Then you know exactly where you are in the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
I mean, as always, so many, but this was a good start. I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to mention I just like they keep coming up with endearing droids. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
they
they keep
do.
coming up with droids that I'm like, oh, that's a cool droid. Like I like the at the start, like the little, and they had the perfect song, like music for him too.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just like rolling through, and then the stupid dog comes, start peeing on him, and he just zaps him. I just thought that was so good. I like laughed out loud the first time I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's like late at night, dark in the house, and I'm just like laughing about some droid like shocking a dog thing for peeing on him.
They have been doing a good job with the droids, so
Yeah, like there were a couple really cool ones in the Kenobi show too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, so I like the little guy, the
mm-hmm.
weird. I felt bad for him. He's like old and
I
can't
know.
remember things.
I felt bad for him too, but I liked him.
He's like, you shouldn't leave. Don't leave us, Cassian. You should stay with us. I was
uh,
like, oh, I'll stay with you.
yeah, no, it's good. They gave him a good personality.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, I think I'm. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I'm
So, did you feel sad at all for the guy who betrayed Cassian? He ended up getting shot
no,
and killed.
no.
Yeah, I was just like, Bix, don't be stupid. It's like, stop being sad.
Yeah.
I mean, she has reason to be. I don't really blame her, really, but I like
It was
I kind of do still, actually.
it was one of those moments too where I was like, I feel no sadness for you. And then I was like, oh, that's probably pretty bad of me. And then immediately I was like, Adam's gonna ask me if I felt sad about this. Yeah, definitely did not.
That's funny.
Yeah, no. I'm glad
Yeah,
you
I
didn't either because I was fully expecting me to be the odd one out. So
you usually are.
I know.
No, no. I thought I felt grim satisfaction, actually. Like I was actually just a little bit happy it happened to him.
Oh, I don't know if I was happy about it. I was just
I,
like, to me, I was just like, yeah, that's what you get, karma.
that well that's the whatever, like satisfaction in the sense that like sometimes things work the way like you know, my dad always says to say like you mess with the bull you get the horns,
Right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's neither good nor bad. I wouldn't just wish death on him even though he did a pretty despicable awful thing. Like I wouldn't wish death on him, but when it happens to him, it's like, well, I mean, you tried to do the same to Cassian.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
yeah. And now Bix is free. She's available. So
Because that's what matters.
it isn't. I think Cassian the so I watched the first two of them
Mm-hmm.
again like a second time.
Oh, okay.
And so just look, I pay, you know, you pay more attention to smaller things and stuff, and seeing the way she looks at Cassian and the way, you know, like just like their chemistry and the way they look, like I think I think that she would have been like if Cassian, like as far as relationships goes, if Cassian would decided to be serious about her,
Mm-hmm.
she would have been gone from that guy instantly. She would have just been like, sorry, Cassian's over there though, and I'd rather, you know, he's like 1,000 times better than you.
Just what he would want to hear.
I know. He's like, oh well, you'll be happy to know then that I betrayed him. She's like,
Right.
it's okay, he'll be dead next episode anyways.
Uh, well, on that happy note.
Ooh, I'm sorry, one final
Yeah.
thing I thought was really interesting. I loved her, like all the loops she had to the hoops she had to jump through to get to talk to the rebel guy.
Right.
Like I loved how secretive it was. Like they had their own like little, you know, interaction. He's like, "Oh, you haven't been here. Oh yeah, go to the back and get it. You might have, you know, like that. They had their little exchange,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and then
it
she,
it makes sense that it would be so secretive.
yeah, I just thought it was cool. It was very spy ish, you know,
Right.
like it's gonna be a spy show. That's what they said a few times. I'm excited to see more of that.
Yep.
I don't know, just
Yep.
well done.
Exactly. Um. Yeah. I think
All right,
that's it.
yeah, I'll stop just yammering. It's good though.
Good. Uh. Yeah. So I guess we'll just see what happens next week. It'll only be one episode, so it should be more
Hmm.
manageable.
Yeah, we only have 3 weeks of it just being total overload.
Right.
See, I'm just glad Bad Batch would be starting next week if they hadn't switched the date.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be able to watch it probably. I would probably just say, sorry, not starting it.
Right. Gotta wait. Well,
Or I would just abandon Dragon Show.
one or the other.
Maybe both. I don't know.
Oh man. Um. Cool. So, shall we call it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, thanks for listening, guys, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Go join our Discord server.
That too.
Mm-hmm.